your ball in the trees and then you lip out the putt. But if you've got a little time, then come and spend it with us. 'Cause now you're listening to the Rough Cut.
Hello, and welcome down to another episode of the Rough Cut Golf Podcast, where we are all here present and correct, but we are not the only people appearing on this podcast. We have me, we have Mick, we have Jacob, and we have Kieran. But joining from the United States of America, we also have golf journalist, renowned media personality within the world of golf, which admittedly, if you're not familiar with, you probably won't know who he is, but it's Dan Rapaport.
Yeah.
Star of Full Swing and many other things.
Yeah, he did lots of things for Barstool when he worked there.
Yeah.
And now has gone over to work for Pro Shop.
Yep.
And now has his own show.
He does indeed.
Which is cool on YouTube.
Famously finished higher in the queue at Myrtle Beach than everyone thought he was going to last year.
Yeah. He's honestly
He's a good golfer.
Not only is he lovely, and also heavy Man United fan.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
Way too heavy.
Yeah, he loves it. We were chatting a little bit, and he was like, "I'm trying to convince my wife to move to Stretford," and I was like,
That's a hard sell.
Probably not going to happen.
It's a hard sell.
But also, yeah, lovely guy. Very good on the old interwebs and on the TV, but also a very good golfer.
Yes, indeed. I think we should just jump straight over there, because we're going to be talking about Full Swing, which is a Netflix series. If you're not familiar with it, Netflix over the past few years, they've been doing Drive to Survive, which is the Formula One version of Full Swing, as I like to think about it. Not Full Swing is the...
I like that.
Yeah, you like that one.
Very good.
And a few other sports documentaries as well. The last few seasons have gone down very well. We are going to be giving our thoughts on how we think the third season has gone. But first of all, let's go talk to Dan. Okay, and we are joined by the wonderful, the majestic, the as of yet award-winning podcast maker for Dan on Golf, Dan Rapaport. How are we?
I'm great. I think the last time we spoke was at the inaugural Good Desert Open with Willie Wilcox, Big Lod, and Trot. That was a really fun crew that day. That was
like, you were playing quite a lot of golf that year, because then you did the queue at Myrtle Beach as well.
It was weird. Like when I was with Barstool, playing golf was like a way bigger part of like my day to day, because they were like, okay, you're a guy, like you're going to play in all these competitions for us. Now that I've moved on, I'm not playing nearly as much golf.
Yeah. It's like when the guys come to work for me as well. It's like the first thing I tell them, I said, listen, I hate to break it to you, but now you're working in golf, the one thing you will not do is play golf. I'm really sorry.
It's hard, because like that's what drew me to the game. That's what drew, I think, all of us to the game. But like now I'm married and trying to stay married, and I'm traveling so much, and so it's just like 4 hours on the golf. And also the thing about when you it's kind of a spiral, because when you start not playing, and then you play once in a while, and you're then you get mad at yourself, and you're like, why? What am I doing? Like, I'm just miserable now.
So the lesson from this, the first real takeaway from this podcast is everyone needs to play more golf.
Yes, I completely agree.
Shock, horror, make it a national holiday. We've got you on like to talk about Full Swing, but we can talk about everything else as well. To be honest, the last time I remember seeing you was at the queue, and you'd just come off the range furious because United had lost. That's Manchester United to anyone unfamiliar. I can't remember who they were playing, but let's face it, they're losing against everyone.
I'd say, I mean, it's not a rare occurrence. I think we've got 12 defeats already in the Premier League this year, so. It's really brutal. And like now, like Ludwig is a big Liverpool fan. So anytime he sees me out on the golf course, he just reminds me of how shit we are. So it's pretty fun.
You see, you've got the issue you've got is that United was so good for so long. Like, unless you're a United fan, like nobody likes them. And it's kind of getting to the point now where it's a little bit sad. It's kind of sad. It's kind of like you're looking at them and you're like, oh, that's a shame.
But you live in Manchester, right?
Yeah.
So what's the mood like is it just everyone's just a little bit embarrassed? Like what's the mood like?
I think there's a combination of sadness. I think there's a combination of regret. There's a lot of recrimination going around. I think there's still a little bit of, a bit of delusion, like it's going to suddenly turn around. But everyone who's not a United fan, so me and pretty much like, a lot of the rest of the country, we're not quite done with you being bad yet. Like, I think we've still got like maybe a couple of seasons of like you having your heart broken, and then you can come back, and then that's fine.
Yeah. We're almost at the point where we're like a tragic figure, but not quite yet.
Exactly. You're almost getting to the point where you're like an underdog story, and
Yeah.
that's everyone likes an underdog story, don't they?
Yeah. We're on the Spurs track, which is really depressing. So
Oh yeah, no, that's another tragic circumstance. Anyway, enough about depressing football stuff. I support Preston, by the way, and they're the most depressing team in the world to follow. So
Preston North End, right?
yeah,
Well, are they in
yeah.
the championship?
They are in the championship. Yeah, they are steady mid-table, never go up, never go down, never score. It's yeah. Unfortunately, that's where I was born, and I can't shake it.
That's what I do like that about like football, or everyone's gonna get mad at me for saying football, but it's like it's tribal. Like there's no bandwagon. There's no like
Uh,
it's in this country it's like Patrick Mahomes. Now everyone there's a bunch of Chiefs fans. And that wasn't a thing before. You guys don't really have that, which I appreciate.
yeah, and I think it's the best way. It's the most tragic way. But then when you do win, it's the best thing ever because you come back.
I'm all for the loyalty.
Talking about, I was going to try and do some kind of weird segue then, talking about winning full swing. It's not going to work. Let's just talk about full swing.
Yeah,
It's seamless. You can tell we do this for a living, can't you?
you are a professional, man. You're a professional.
Honestly, I astound myself sometimes about how professional I am.
How good. Sometimes I just shock myself how good I am.
Honestly, I mean, mostly I just do wake up in the morning, look at myself in the mirror, and wonder like how the hell I'm still getting away with it. Like no one's actually turned around at any point and gone, what, why are we watching this?
I'm looking at you with an iconic golf brand on your hat and a California surfer, brand that's super hot on your chest. So things are going pretty well for Peter Finch.
Right, you should see what's going on underneath this table. So with with full swing, if you don't know already, it's not you, obviously everyone watching and listening. It's a documentary on Netflix in the vein of Drive to Survive, although I now think Drive to Survive is in the vein of Full Swing. And over the past 3 years, it's covered the preceding seasons on the PGA Tour, and our man Dan has been on the inside of this documentary. You have been, I would say, quite a pivotal part of it as well. And you appear pretty prominently in a couple of episodes of this year as well. Just talk us about behind the scenes as well, because you're involved with with Pro Shops now, who are the producers of Full Swing as well. Like what's it like behind the scenes of producing the show?
So it's interesting. So when I first started shooting, when I first started getting involved with season one, I was actually working at Golf Digest. So I've had 4 jobs in my career already. Been with 4 like different media companies, which sounds crazy because I'm really not that old, but felt like the right move at the time. I don't know. So I was with Golf Digest, and I met with Chad Mum, who was he's the real driver of the show. This has been something that he has wanted to do. I think he first started pitching the tour on it in like 2016, 2017. Tim Fincham was the commissioner at the time, not a very progressive guy, didn't really want to do it. I mean, progressive with like a lowercase p, you know what I mean? In this country, that's a very
he didn't know what Netflix was. It's fine.
Yeah, pretty much. Like he was just old school. Like he and this was when the job of the PGA Tour commissioner was basically standing next to Tiger Woods with the big checks and smiling. But once Jay Monahan took over, there was a little bit more openness. So started hearing murmurs that they were going to do this show, and that they had, Chad was driving it, and they were partnering with Box to Box, which is they produce Drive to Survive, and also just some incredible sports documentaries. Like I don't know if you've seen Senna, probably my favorite sports documentary of all time about Richard Senna. They did that, the F1 driver. And so we played golf, and so I was just sort of involved in it in like I sit down a couple times a year, do these interviews. They're long interviews, usually about 3 hours each time. And they ask you a bunch of different questions. You do like 4 or 5 of them throughout the year. Then I moved over to Barstool, kind of the same level of involvement, a little bit more in season 2. I became, friendly with the producers and the, the directors of photography who are out there. And they felt a little bit more comfortable. Hey, can we put a mic on you and, follow you while you watch a couple holes? And then after season 2, I went over to Pro Shop, which is the company started by Chad. And so it's been a lot more seeing the inner workings of it. It's amazing how much goes into this show. It's my biggest takeaway is there are so many people who work so hard on this show that never get any credit for it beyond just like a name on the credits at the end. There's a whole post-production team. There's a whole, studio that colors the footage and makes it look right. There's a whole, music department that deals with trying to get rights. And there's like a funny bit in this season where I don't know if Chad's gonna be okay with me saying this, but I'm saying it. When Rory and Shane win Zurich and then they sing "Don't Stop Believin'." We wanted to put "Don't Stop Believin'" in the show, and the guy from Journey just said no. He just wouldn't do it. So there's all these different politics involved about, because you'll see if you watch that episode now, they're singing, but there's no sound. And that's because Chad asked the guy from Journey and he said no. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes, but it's been an incredible ride. It's been massive for my career. And I think it's been really cool for golf fans and also people who don't, my wife doesn't give a shit about golf really, but she watches Full Swing. So, for her, she's not going to sit down and watch 5 hours of a broadcast, but if you can give her 6 hours of content that tells the story of the whole year, that can hold her attention.
Yeah. And it's different as well because, yes, it's about golf, but generally the best moments in, I think, this season, but also past seasons as well, it's more those human elements that you actually kind of explore. It's the stuff that you don't see week to week on the tour, which is kind of the whole point, isn't it? Because watching Rory kind of bash it around and have these amazing feats of athleticism is great, but the things that you don't see are like the friendship with him and Shane. And one of the real kind of highlights for me as well is when the camera was on you behind the rope, inside the ropes at the US Open, when Rory was missing those putts to finish. There was two things I didn't remember about that properly. The fact that Rory put it so well during the actual final round, apart from those two holes, and just how
even thinking about it, dude. It was just a crazy day. Well, yeah, I mean
how short was that putt on 16?
It was breathtakingly short. So the couple of things that I remember from that day specifically, I mean, you remember in 2022 when he had a chance to win the Open at St. Andrews and he didn't make anything. I think he hit 18 greens and shot like 200 par, made nothing.
Honestly, it was the most tragic thing ever. That
right, and that was his issue, and so that was 2022. Sort of the same thing 2023 at the U.S. Open at LACC. He didn't make any of like the mid-range putts to sort of steal a shot, right? Like between 12 and 20 feet. He made 3 on the front 9, I think, at Pinehurst. And so you were thinking, this is it. Like the putts are finally going in. These are the putts that you need to make to win a mid. Yeah, I mean, it makes you uncomfortable. It was under 3 feet. I mean, he was I think it was 483 for 483 before. And also what I remember from that day was just how dramatically it played out because of sort of the routing of the golf course. Yeah. So you've played there, I presume, probably filmed there before.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite courses as far as the actual the kind of layout and the shots that it demands and the whole kind of vibe of the place. It's very different than a lot of the other places I've played in the US. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm going back there next week. It's an amazing place. And so they've had to put some of the tees so far back that basically the way the course plays is you have a green and then you kind of walk diagonally to a tee. And so Bryson and Rory could see each other all day. And they, there were multiple times where Rory, would step off from a tee shot and kind of wave up Bryson because if Bryson hit it close, there was going to be a bunch of cheers and vice versa. And they weren't playing together, but they had eyes on each other the entire time. And I just remember on 16, when he missed that putt, the whole gallery had already moved on to 17. It wasn't even a thought that he might miss it. And then you just hear this groan from the people on 16. And I think Rory says this in the episode, like that one was a real shock to his system. It let Bryson back in the tournament, I think. And what people don't remember and won't remember, he had an unbelievable up and down on 17 from the back bunker. Rory did. Yeah. And no one remembers that because of I mean, the putt on 18, I wasn't thrilled with the edit because I said I was standing in the fairway and someone's like, "Oh, is that for par?" And I'm like, "Yeah, it's for par, but I think it's like 1.5 feet." It was like 5 feet and it was breaking hard left to right. Yeah. That's a missable putt. The one on 16, there's no excuse. Yeah. The one on 18 was, I think the angle that it showed as well, because he was looking directly down and behind the putt. It did look really short, but you could see that like he was aiming a good 2 cups outside the hole on that putt. Like you said, that's a missable one. The one on 16 was a killer. But I think the good things about Full Swing and the good thing about that episode with you as well was the fact that you were on the ground and it was behind the scenes and it was like you could feel like the raw emotions as well. And the editing on that one, I'm assuming you've watched it all back, and
Yeah.
the editing on that one for me stood out because of all the drama and all the hype and all the excitement as Bryson wins, and then it's just like this hard cut to Rory in the scoring room, and just no music, no sound, and you can just see like you could see him break. It was like,
It's amazing. It's amazing how much music, and I'm sure your editors know this. It's amazing how much music builds a moment. Like it's like a cheat code. It sort of tells you how to feel. And yeah, I thought they nailed that. That was in my opinion probably the best major since probably the 2019 Masters when Tiger won it. Just in terms of raw emotion, and Bryson was for as heartbroken, as crestfallen as Rory was, Bryson was that ecstatic.
Yeah.
Right. And like, he's so demonstrative that it wasn't like if I'm just going to use this example because he's really bothering me with his lack of emotion. If Cameron Young had won that tournament, right, he's sort of like, he's going to fist pump, probably not say anything, shake people's hands. So you had Rory, who's heartbroken, literally speeding away in his car. And you have Bryson, who's like running around, like a teenager, who just got his first kiss, and he's like, everyone's touching the trophy. And it was just this dichotomy of emotions that I think it was like almost Shakespearean, it was so dramatic.
I mean, what do you think about? I think the episode did a good job of this as well, and we'll talk about some other stuff in a moment. But the transformation of Bryson over the past few years, I've spoke about this with the guys before. It's strange to think, and it's actually hard to remember that the fact that 3 years ago he was probably the most disliked person in golf, and now he's gone in that time period to being the most liked. What's that been like as far as following the tours, like you do kind of year to year, week to week, to see that transformation? And how does that actually translate to the players? Because we only really see it from a fan's point of view.
Well, I think it's really spoken to the power of sort of your guys' side of golf media, and I think I think I kind of live in the middle where, I've had the experience with Golf Digest, where you're just very much like in the media center, and I've had the experience with Barstool, which is, a lot more in your guys' world. And I think, I sort of saw it happening, but I think a lot of the guys who covered the tour every week, they didn't see Bryson, right? Because he's not playing on the PGA Tour, and they don't watch his YouTube videos. So I think there was a big shock to them. The first time we really saw it was at Valhalla in the PGA Championship. He was the crowd favorite.
Yeah,
he was the crowd favorite, and I think that really shocked a lot of people. Like, you had Xander going for his first win, Victor was up there, two very likable characters, and it was clear who the crowd was rooting for. As far as the players go, look, I think Bryson's probably still not a lot of guys' cup of tea, but I think that they appreciate the role he plays in the game. I mean, when you see the passion and how young his audience is, like, I think whether he's the most popular player outside of Tiger Woods, I'm not sure. Rory's so, but under 24 or whatever that demographic is, it's not close. It's Bryson by far. So I think everyone, even if you find some of the stuff a little bit cringy or it's not for you, I think everyone appreciates the role that he plays in the game now.
Yeah, no, I think so. I think you're right, and he, like I say, I think the episode really showed kind of that transformation, showed him in a good light. There's a bit of good cinematography as well when you're watching him watch Xander's putt on the 18th, which, again, watching it back, I don't know how that went in, but when Xander won his first major of the year, with when the producers and when Full Swing, they're picking the players to follow, is it just a feeling? Is it just a vibe? Because, and is it, how much input do you actually need from the players? Because when we were watching it through, it was quite strange how during the PGA, for example, like we didn't see any of Victor, for example. We didn't see any of Xander really throughout the whole series, despite him winning 2 majors.
Yeah.
Like, how does
Xander's been the most anti-full swing, I think, of any of the players.
Really?
I mean, we saw this, like Stefan Schauffele. Remember when his dad, so cameras were allowed into, and this was in season 2, cameras were allowed into the team room for Europe at the Ryder Cup. They weren't for the United States, even though they were initially supposed to. And Stefan Schauffele, Xander's dad, was on record saying, I don't basically like an image rights conversation. He's like, I don't understand how they get like rights to show, my son, in perpetuity. And Xander, it's almost become like a running joke. Like when the cameras are in, like these Netflix cameras are in his face, he'll literally look at them and be like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? It's like in like a jovial manner. But so the way it works is the cameras have the same rights. The Netflix cameras have the same rights as the PGA Tour cameras on site. So if Xander's playing, they can shoot whatever they want. They have, and Xander has no right to say, you can't put that in the show. Whether they sit for an interview is a different conversation. So I think they try to film as much as they can from all the top players, so to sort of cover their bases. And then they try, if someone makes a run afterwards, they can try to, hey, we have all this footage. We'd love to sit you down for an interview. And obviously you can get a little bit creative with when the interview is and what tenses they use. And so I think they try to just cast a really wide net. But there are some players, Victor's another one who just, for whatever reason, they just don't want to be involved in the show. And so it's difficult to make someone a character in the show without doing that sit down interview, because then they just become like sort of a two-dimensional character.
Yeah. Like Neil Shipley. I thought he came across so well. That was one of my favorite parts, actually. Like following an amateur's perspective of going into Augusta, and then the fact that Ludwig did really well as well, like during that major as well. So following all that kind of process was great. There was a few times like at the Masters and certainly on the Tour Championship where it kind of felt like the episodes were trying to build the drama with the players, despite Scheffler being Scheffler. He's just an absolute animal.
Yeah. It's that's Hollywood, right? Like I think the show is not. I don't think it's meant to be like a historical document. You know what I mean? Like if you want, they have like the Open film, right? The official movie of the Open every year. And like, if you're a real golf nut and you want to know exactly what happened, if in 20 years, you want to look back, okay, what actually happened in the 2024 Open Championship at Royal Troon? You're going to watch like the Open film. This is a human interest thing that there's definitely some manufacturing going on. But I think people should know that going in. It's not, if you wanted a straight historical document, like I said, there's other things out there. This is drama.
Yeah, and it is building that the personality of the players and seeing behind the scenes. Like the Open episode when kind of Justin Rose came off the 18th, he was like congratulating Xander, gave him a hug on the green. It was great, but being able to see behind the scenes when he came off and when he was with his team and his family, and just how gutted like everyone was. Like that's what you don't see. You could just see how devastated they were.
That Open was really compelling, I thought, because you've got a guy in Xander Schauffele who's already won a major that year, right? And I remember the weather was horrendous, especially on that Saturday. And he didn't even wear rain gear. He just wore this cashmere sweater because he hates rain gear that just steadily took on water. And he was so in the zone and so blinders on. And then the other cast of characters, you have Shane Lowry, who's super demonstrative, like crowd always on his side. You got Billy Horschel, who wears his heart on his sleeve. And you got Justin Rose, who is so like, he's like a thespian with his reactions. And he's an older guy. And like same with Billy and same with Shane, honestly, like how many more chances are they going to get to win another Open Championship? And then you've got like the young American who's just totally in his prime. And that one really hurt Justin. I mean, Justin is I appreciate how open he is about like the heartbreak. I mean, if you talk to him about the 2017 Masters, he's still where Sergio clipped him. He's still like, that really bothers him to this day. He feels like he should have won that tournament, and he knows there's a big difference. There's a lot of guys who have won one major. There's a lot less guys who have won two. And I think he knows like how different his career will be remembered if he was able to add, if he wins the Masters and the US Open, or if he wins the US Open and then the Open Championship, that just brings him to a whole different level. And like, we think about these guys not thinking that way. And I think when you're younger and you're Scottie and you're Victor or you're Xander, you don't really think that way. But when you start to creep up there in age, I think you do start to think about your legacy, and it hits a lot harder.
Yeah, absolutely. And like with Rhodes, obviously been such a good player for so long, but with him, it must have hit home even harder because he did have to qualify for that Open as well, which that must have been probably quite a shock to the system, having, not having to done so for the best part of 25 years, whatever it was.
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy who was famous. I mean, when we were talking about this, I caddied for him in we did a YouTube thing. He was like, since I was 16, I was. He was sort of a wonder kid from the time he was even younger than that. Always playing up age groups, always number one boy in Britain, and it's father time stops for nobody. But I thought it was really cool that he went to the qualifier and that he played 36 holes in one day at 40 whatever, and he got through.
No, it was class, and like I said, that was probably one of my favorite points. I mean, looking back on the series, like what were the standout moments to you? What was your kind of favorite moment to look back on that you think it did really well? It kind of showed really well.
Yeah, I think the caddy episode is really cool. It's something new they did with the show. It's a really unique relationship that exists in our sport that, it's not quite coach player because they're not coaching you as far as mechanics. A coach in basketball or football or American football, like they have the final say. At the end of the day, the player has the final say in golf. At the end of the day, the player can fire the caddy whenever they want to. You've also got some guys like Ted Scott who have caddied for multiple major champions. He caddied for Bubba Watson. Now he's caddied for Scottie Scheffler. And then you've got guys like Harry Diamond, who is just Rory's pal, really. And everyone's looking for something different in a caddy. And it's just a really, really unique relationship. It's like half coach, half therapist, half sounding board. Ted Scott is featured pretty heavily, Scottie's caddy, and then Carl, who is Saif Thigala's caddy, who is one of his assistant coaches at Pepperdine, is featured pretty heavily too. So I think people are going to get a kick out of that. And also what you mentioned with the Neil Shipley thing, I think one of the pieces of feedback that kept coming through was show some of the other characters who aren't just the best players in the world, right? Like we know what that looks like, the private jets, the trophies. Show some of the other elements of pro golf, and I think they did a really good job of doing that this season.
Yeah. I did like again some of the behind scenes. We talk about not being in the American team room at the Ryder Cup for the President's Cup. I mean, the way to kind of end that end this season, end this episode with Keegan Bradley. How can we put this? Looking forward to the challenge of facing Europe at Bethpage Black with a quite a sounding call to the team. With Keegan Bradley, I don't know kind of what you think about this, and definitely from an American perspective. Is this the weirdest captain's pick that there's ever been? I cannot understand why they made him captain when he's 38 years old and arguably playing the best golf he ever has.
Yeah, he said it wasn't because of Netflix, but I have a hard time believing, he gets that captaincy without that and showing how much he cares about it. I'm a little concerned for his health, honestly. Like he cares so much about this, and he's still, like you said, I mean, I think he's in the top 15 in the world still, so he's playing all of the signature events, whereas Luke Donald, he tees it up now and then, but his focus is fully on being a Ryder Cup captain. Keegan is competing at the very highest level of the sport while still trying to do this. I think there's no chance that he picks himself. I don't think he could handle it emotionally.
Really?
No chance. I think he's really, I interviewed him last week and I asked him, it's one thing to talk about last year. Oh, it's going to be a balancing act, trying to play golf at the highest level and be the Ryder Cup captain. It's another thing that now you're actually doing it. How are you doing? And he's like, it's really hard. It's really hard. Like I'm trying. He's like, I get my moments of solace inside the ropes, but when I'm outside, I'm thinking about it all the time. So look, I think they wanted a guy who would bring some emotion, be a little bit of a leader of men. I think the last two captains for the, we had Zach Johnson, who I think Netflix showed, probably didn't do the best job in the world. And then Jim Furyk, they won the President's Cup. But if you don't win the President's Cup, it's like you're expected to win the President's Cup. Both of those guys were sort of an older guard. And I think they just wanted a guy to sort of match the moment. I think this Ryder Cup is going to be, in New York with the crowd and not just the crowd, but just the media, the ecosystem that agrees in New York. I think it's going to be the biggest golf competition probably ever. And I think they wanted a guy who would elicit some strong emotion.
Yeah, that's probably my only concern's a strong word, but like obviously with the Ryder Cup, one of the best things about the Ryder Cup is that you can have that kind of team atmosphere, you can have the passion, you can have the rivalry, but it very rarely steps over the line. Like my fear in New York is like with obviously those crowds that can get massively into it, massively passionate, the beer starts flowing, and Keegan Bradley like has that, intense I'm going to kill you stare kind of wandering around. Do you think it could go a bit over the edge?
I think it will. I think something's going to happen. Hopefully hopefully no one gets hurt or anything like that. But I just have a hard time. I mean, they tried to price, I think, a lot of the hooligans out with it's like $750 for one ticket for general admissions.
Wow.
So I think part of that decision was like, okay, if we make this $100, then everyone's going to show up, and they're thinking, okay, if you have to pay $750, you probably love golf. I don't think it's going to work. I think something will happen. I mean, it's amazing. I've talked about this in the past. It's just amazing that you know this from being at golf tournaments, how close you are to the players. Like all it takes is one asshole to scream at the wrong time and a guy hits a ball out of bounds. It's kind of amazing it hasn't happened more, honestly. It kind of happened. I remember when Tiger was on the 18th hole at Carnoustie, but he hit it down the middle, so no one really talked about it. Someone like yelled in his backswing.
Yeah.
All it takes is one person, like a match is tied, Victor Hovland's standing on a par 3, there's water short or whatever it is, and someone just yells like shank in his backswing. That's all it takes, and they're going to be right there. So I'm definitely concerned.
I think generally speaking, one of the best things about golf on the positive side of this, if someone does do that, like mostly it's quite self-policing. Like if someone does step over the line, that the other fans generally will.
Well, they'll be kicked out and they'll be booed and everyone will hate it. But all it takes is one, whereas if you're at a football match or you're at a basketball game and you scream, everyone's screaming. There's this expectation of silence when a guy is over a ball. So all it takes is one. And if everyone's making noise like they are on 16 at Waste Management in Scottsdale, that's fine. The problem is if it's one isolated person.
Yeah. I mean, it's the Ryder Cup. I mean, if someone did that and shouted out shanking Victor's backswing, then surely like Xander would, he'd give him the hole, wouldn't he? He wouldn't. He won't make him finish. He just concede it, won't he?
These are the thorny questions. These are the thorny questions I think will be asked in what is it, like 6 months' time now?
It's not long. It really isn't long. It's going to come around quick. Are you going to be over there?
Yeah, definitely.
Perfect.
I think we got some cool stuff cooking up with Pro Shop. So hopefully some news soon. But yeah, I'll definitely be there.
Cool. Hopefully I will be with you as well. And just before we let you go, mate, let's give a shout out. Talk to me, YouTube, podcast. What have you got going on?
Yeah, so we started a live show on Mondays called Dan on Golf. We're in a studio. We have a partnership with Pro Shop, which owns Scratch, and Pro Shop Studios is Chad's company that I've joined. We have a partnership with the PGA Tour, so we show highlights, we do interviews with players, just sort of like a live golf show. It airs 10 a.m. my time, so that's in 22 minutes your time. I don't know what time. It's probably like 6 p.m. or something. But yeah, it's available. You can watch it after the fact on YouTube, and then we also post. We can film stuff on site. So we do these vlogs where I'm kind of just walking around the tournament, talking to different players about what they're looking at in the week, giving a real sort of fly on the wall insider's perspective. So the channel is called Dan on Golf, which is also the name of the show. And yeah, give us a subscribe. That'd be incredible.
Awesome. Amazing. Right, mate. I am going to let you go. I'm going to go, I don't know. I think I might go to the pub.
Yeah. It's about that time where you are.
Yeah. It's actually past 5. Like I should have been in there 40 minutes ago. But
I'm surprised. I thought you were going to have a big glass, during this.
Nah, I'm a professional athlete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Titleist ambassador. You know what I mean?
It's what I do. You don't get this physique, just slacking off. I'm like Rory. I'm like Rory in the documentary. I never have a day off. Always there.
Totally. You're just working out, just pumping.
I'm somewhere in between Rory and Shane.
Yeah. It's a big space. It's nice that you fill it.
There's plenty of room to fill there.
Yes.
Oh dear. All right, mate. I will. I'll speak to you soon. Hopefully, I will see you soon as well.
Yeah, sounds good, man. Always a pleasure talking to you guys. Anytime.
See you soon.
Okay, Full Swing. So Dan with some interesting insights there. It's always nice to talk to someone who is on the inside.
And he's on the inside.
He's very much on the inside.
He's on the screen. He's there. He's in it.
He is. He's in the TV.
Yeah. You can't touch him, but he's there.
No, you can touch him. That's why I was wiping the TV. We got a TV back, by the way. And I was wiping it down before because apparently I have the greasiest fingers in the world.
Yeah.
It's all that chicken you're eating.
Yeah, I've not eaten any chicken today.
You had soup. What soup did you have?
I've not eaten the soup yet.
What?
Yeah, I'm not
Chicken
eating
soup, very good.
I'm not eating anything today. I've had a protein
there is
shake.
chicken in the soup, actually.
Are you
And grains.
Yeah.
And raspberry.
Just say rice.
just maize corn?
Maize is corn.
No, there's
Maize
no,
corn, everyone.
there's
It's
no
corn,
rice,
everyone.
There's no rice in there. It's like barley.
Oh, I thought I read it. It said brown rice.
You almost went. You read that?
I'm slipping back to my area for
If it's not apples, then Jacob doesn't want to know.
Are we pressing apples?
He's from
cider?
he's from the cider capital of the world.
Yeah, one of them.
Well, I think Somerset would have something
They
to
might
say.
have
about
an
that.
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
We do have a few. We got Westerns. We got Strongbow.
Don't
We
want
got
the- don't
Bulmers, I think.
Really don't want the Somerset crew like coming in hot and heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sorry,
Somersby are gonna come and-
Somerset people. They're really, really dangerous.
Yeah. I'm a first ever hangover
I know.
on
On Stowford.
Stowford Press. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's from Somerset, isn't it?
No, it's from Hereford.
Is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
That is the one we do have.
That is it.
Western cider.
That is an evil drink. I honestly, I'd never had a hangover before. Had that, woke up in the morning and actually thought I was dying. Thought there was something wrong with me.
Yeah,
because it's not like I'd had headaches. It's not like I'd been ill like previously. I'd been sick before.
Yeah.
but I'd never been hungover.
Yeah.
So I woke up that day and I was like, I don't know what's happening. Full on panic,
Yeah.
sweats.
Yeah.
I'm dying.
Yeah, I'm actually dying, and I've maybe drank Stowfords once since.
That'll do it to you, yeah. I
Honestly.
reckon you're on the vintage, because that is some heavy stuff, that.
I think it was a hot day. I was in Bath. It was a lovely kind of afternoon.
You're in the bath.
Or were you on the Rosy Pig?
And-
That's cloudy. That's cloudy
That's
cider.
cloudy, yeah, and Carly likes that. Anyway, full swing.
Yeah, so golf
Where
again.
did we get there?
Seamless segue.
Hardest segue of all time.
So I think overall, let's have an overall impression of what we thought of Full Swing, because the first season, very exciting. Second season, obviously a little bit harder. Second album syndrome. It's always the most difficult.
Yeah,
one.
all of your hits are on the first one.
Yeah. And then you're on to Godfather 3, which, is a bit pants. So,
Wow.
come on, it is. It is.
You're right. It's not it's the least good
Yeah.
of the three.
Yeah,
I
I
like
mean-
to think of it as the Matrix 3, also the least good of the three.
I mean, the only one which has ever really achieved that, I would say, is probably Lord of the Rings.
And we did it, people. We did it.
Yeah.
We mentioned Lord of the Rings on the podcast.
And I think that's it. I've not seen Paddington 3, so I can't.
Can't comment.
Can't
but
comment on
they're
that.
having to fight against the normal Paddington, the original Paddington, which is like the best film ever made, right?
OG
Paddington 2.
Is Paddington 2 up there?
Paddington 2
Oh,
might be
okay.
better.
golf.
What
Remember
about,
golf.
what about Pirates of the Caribbean? Sorry. just-
Nah, that's
Wait,
like
hold
to
on.
lose yourself straight away
Which
from
one's
it.
the third one? There's so many.
Exactly.
At World's End, that's the good one.
Is
as
that the
well.
Jar of Dirt one?
Yeah.
It is. Now it might be the second one.
Is it the one with the octopus man, or is that the second one?
Nah, that's
Davy
second.
Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
no,
he is in
It's
both,
Davy Jones
but
right
I
here.
think it's
There he
the
is.
third.
So,
We'll get back.
Davy Jones is not in Full Swing Season 3, which I
He's
think...
like a mid-level tour pro.
I actually think that's a bad thing. I think
He
he should have
definitely
been
plays
in
on the
there.
Corn Ferry Tour. Davy Jones
Yeah,
is a
somewhere.
40-year-old journeyman golfer who has never made it onto the PGA Tour and is just playing on the Corn Ferry Tour.
He's definitely there somewhere.
It's Davy Jones.
Yeah,
It has to be.
I reckon we'll do. Whoever's editing this, we'll do a quick search. We'll find a product of
there's
Davy
gotta be,
Jones,
yeah,
because there's
we'll
got to
find
be one. So I think we've got. Interestingly, what I really enjoyed about this particular season was we kind of forget that 2024, which is what this kind of season was filmed over, was absolutely mental. Like, of all the things that went on, you've got Scottie's arrest, you've got Rory's incredible season, major loss, divorce, not divorce,
Yeah.
coming close to these majors yet again. And you've got all these kind of different intricate stories with Brighton as well. There's just so much that went on. You kind of forget. You just forget what happened.
And we didn't even see all of it on the show. The additional addendum is that we've all seen it before it came out. So you're watching this on release day, but we've all had access to it beforehand. So we're kind of a little bit ahead of you, unfortunately. But maybe there should also be a spoiler alert in here somewhere.
I think
we'll put one early.
We'll have a let's say we'll have a spoiler alert that we will be discussing things within the episodes, but to be honest, we're not going to discuss anything which you don't already know. You won't have like a surprise where it's like,
And
surprise!
by the way,
Max Homer actually won a major last year. You just didn't see it.
Yeah.
it's weird, isn't it?
There's
Because
not an M. Night Shyamalan plot twist in this that you don't know about.
the village. Oh, great.
Yeah, kind of. Anyway, what was that one where he did a film where like the trees started controlling people to top themselves?
I'm sorry.
We should definitely get back to Full Swing.
It had Matt Damon in it, and it is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my
Matt
life.
Damon?
Yeah,
No.
I'm sure it was Matt
Not over
Damon.
that one.
I don't think this is a fever dream. Anyway, Matt Damon is also not in Full Swing season 3, although Ben Stiller is.
And Mark Wahlberg.
And
Yeah,
Mark
that's-
Wahlberg.
Yeah, what the hell is that about?
And Adam Sandler. During the first episode, which I think actually set the tone really well. So in the first episode, they were talking about how the world of golf over the last few years, professional golf has been thrown into turmoil, certainly on the men's side of the game with everything that's happening. Golf fans don't know what's coming next. They've got all these different storylines. And I think Full Swing Season 3 really did bring them together quite well. I did enjoy large chunks of it. And during that first episode, you had like Bright New Hopeful, you had Ludwig Weber, you had chats about the Masters, you had all these kind of things setting the scene for what I actually thought was a pretty solid season overall.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, they get to the Masters like straight away. Like
Yeah.
get chucked into that. Obviously, like you say, you've mentioned all those guys. Neil Shipley, his story when he was there.
Like
I 100% agree. One of my favourite things, and I said this to Mick just before we came in here. One of my favourite things about this season is they just didn't dumb it down anymore.
Yeah.
Like it didn't. We weren't doing the whole. A birdie is when you hit one shot less on a hole, and there are 4 majors of the year, and these they've got rid of that now. And I don't know if that's just a sense of okay, we've done this 3 years in a row. People either know or they just don't care anymore because they've already watched the other 2.
Yeah.
But that thing, I think that came across and almost made it to me feel like one of the better series that we've had because it felt more to me rather than to the casual fan, shall we say?
Yeah, well, I think as well, like if you're going on Netflix and you watch series and you're like, oh, Full Swing, I'll give this a go. Generally speaking, even if it's not Full Swing, if it's I don't know another Netflix series, Breaking Bad, whatever, it's very rare where you see a new season go, oh, I'll watch that first.
Yeah.
So if you're a non-golfer and you watch it, you'll go back to the start.
Yeah.
So
Just straight into season 4.
The end of Game of Thrones. Like, hold on, that guy's dead.
you just watch it in reverse. You'll be a sicko if you watch it in reverse like that.
Like, where the bloody hell is Rob?
Where's he coming?
You wait.
So I think with that overall was good. The one maybe slight criticism from my point of view is when you go behind the scenes, and that's what Full Swing is. It's not what we see on our screens when you're watching a live event. It's everything which is happening behind those and the storylines. For me, I don't think there was anything in there which I didn't know. The one interesting thing from certainly the first few episodes was, for me, Rory and Shane and that dynamic. I didn't really know how close they were. And actually having a little bit of a peek behind the curtain of Rory. Because Rory, for the most part, Rory McIlroy, if
Now you'll know who's dumbing
if you're
down.
new to Full Swing, Rory McIlroy is a Northern Irish golfer, winner of 4 major championships, but not for over 10 years. And boy, oh boy, did we learn about that in Full Swing.
Yeah, we did.
Like the relationship between those two, I think was really good. The insight into what Rory kind of went through last year, he still didn't give a lot away, but you could kind of sense some of the turmoil that was going on behind the scenes, obviously with him and his wife. It's interesting because like that side of things, it's no one's business. Like it's completely their private life. They should be able to get on with it. But as it was said, he's such a major star that anything like that, people are interested. People are asking questions. They want to know. And because golf is such a personal sport, it kind of felt a little bit awkward in those interviews when he was starting to be asked by it.
Yeah.
And then he started to come out of his shell a little bit. I think you saw a bit more of a human side of him.
Yeah.
Like, not just this incredible golfer.
Well, we got more like sat down chat with him, I felt, than
Yeah,
usual.
definitely.
Like a little bit, like I say, he didn't necessarily give away too much in terms of what he said, but he definitely gave more in terms of his presence, like on the show. And that was that. It was. I mean, it's always interesting to see more about him, and it was hard. I thought I was ready to watch his almost win. I don't think I was ready mentally or emotionally yet. But they did again. They just do a really good job of showcasing like exactly how intense, how pressurized, how horrific that missed putt on 16 was, let alone the 18th.
Yeah, I think that that dynamic of certainly when in last season when Matt Fitzpatrick won, was that last season or season before?
Season before.
Season before.
Wow, yeah.
First
It's
season.
a long time, isn't it?
When he won at Brookline, the US Open. For me, that was probably the best editing and the best part of season one because it showed the drama, it showed a little bit behind the scenes, and it built it with the music and the energy, and it was a really like you kind of felt it, and that for me was the point in season 3 where they really nailed it as far as the drama, how like Bryson,
The Rory and Bryson stuff, yeah.
it was for me, and then afterwards the celebrations of Bryson, like going mad, throwing stuff to the crowd, and then it just
heartbreaking
cuts
shot,
into
yeah.
where he's signing his card.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And it's
Silence.
like,
And then he
oh.
leaves, and it's like, yeah.
And it's just like, because it cuts to him in the room where he's signed, it's just like silence after a while. It's like, oh, God, you could just see.
Do you know what's even worse than him having to, have those cameras in front of him is that you can see people behind him, like, looking and then trying not to be seen looking at him because they're all trying to, like, gauge how he's reacting to it. And obviously he's not having a great time, but there's, just a couple of people in the background you can tell are just trying to...
Yeah. I think another peak for me on that, as around people around reacting that you wouldn't see, is Justin Rose in the Open.
Yeah.
So Justin Rose, you'll see this when you watch it, but he didn't automatically qualify for the Open for the first time in pretty much a quarter of a century, I think it was.
Yeah.
And he had to go through qualifying. He qualified and then came second in the Open, which is a fantastic
Amazing.
achievement. And when he walked off the green after giving everything, you could just see he was choking up. His whole team were devastated. And you just don't see that stuff like on the cameras. And I thought that was really good. Well done. But well done.
What that proves, though, is that it is possible to go through Open qualifying, get into the tournament, make the cut, and challenge for the trophy.
Yeah.
Peter Finch.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But at the same time, I'm not a former major champion, am I? I've won it.
He didn't have to
I
go
won at
for
Marsden Park.
He didn't have to go for regional though, and some say that's the hardest
that's
thing.
the hardest.
Absolutely.
thing. So it's like,
I agree. That's
I'd
what
like
I
to see him recover from a
do you know what I mean? Like, try it at Hesketh. Go Hesketh and
How's
just
he going to do on a cold day in Hesketh?
Well, it was a sunny day to be
Yeah.
fair. But it's very hot.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
no wind.
Have you ever done it on a perfect conditions day?
No wind. This guy said no wind.
And exactly, he hasn't. So there you go. I actually think Hesketh would have been easier with a bit of wind.
Yeah, but I think it would have.
That's my hill that I'm going to die on.
It's a bit too easy.
But I think overall, maybe because there wasn't quite some of the insight behind the scenes that you would have wanted. I think a few of the episodes, the Sahith episode from the Tour Championship, for example, it's very hard to understand which pro is going to have an amazing season and follow them.
Yeah.
Like the producers have no way of telling. And
Yeah.
Sahith didn't have an amazing year last year, and he was one of the pros that they were following.
There's always one.
Yeah.
Every season, Colin Morikawa was the last one I remember.
Yeah.
Like they just didn't know what to do with him.
Yeah.
I think it might have been the first season actually. Like
Yeah.
they just struggle to find. And I get that, like obviously, but they 70, 80, 90% of the time they do hit.
Yeah.
We were calling them like lucky, weren't we? It's
Yeah.
like, whether it's luck or they are following the best players in the world.
Yeah,
It's like
But the thing is, they didn't, apart from obviously Scottie getting arrested, which we haven't even spoken about. I imagine, it's one of the better episodes from the season. I imagine people did enjoy that one. Apart from that, we didn't get insight into any of the kind of, like the original one. They were in the room when the live news broke.
Yeah.
And that was one of the major moments of season one. And then, Matt, they followed Fitzpatrick all the way up to him winning a major.
Yeah.
And, there was a few of those. Obviously, the Bryson and Rory thing was tricky, but they didn't have any Xander Schauffele.
Yeah.
And he won 2 majors.
They didn't have any Xander. To a lesser extent, I know they didn't have any like Patrick Cantley. Obviously, those two are best buds. So I think there's some players that are just going to say, I'm not interested. I don't need this.
Right.
I don't want this. I mean, and to be fair, like with Xander, you can't exactly criticise and say, you need to give more of your time because he won 2 majors last year.
He's been busy.
Yeah, so his focus is on his golf and he can tell it's paying off.
Yeah.
So, but like you said, it was quite strange because I think we maybe saw one swing and one
We did.
putt of him.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
Playing the entire season. So
And even that putt is Bryson reacting to
yeah,
it.
Bryson looking at the putt.
Yeah.
So yeah, that
What a
was
shot, by the way.
Yeah.
That shot is so good.
Yeah, I was jealous of a lot of their cinematography, and that one was particularly
Yeah.
good.
I still can't believe that putt went in from Xander. Like it looked like all the way it was going, and it was going to lip
Something
out.
just
somehow,
grabbed it
Come here, boy.
somehow just goes
Yeah.
in. But
When it's your day, I guess.
Yeah.
Speaking of Bryson, I thought that the Bryson kind of the redemption arc coming back around was particularly good this time around. You know, he built up this reputation for being this scientist who likes to break the game down into its elements and then, you know, attack it like an engineer, and has done so for a very long time. And then, you know, he's come back around and people didn't necessarily like him for that, and now they do like him, and I think they did pretty good in kind of explaining that to us.
And I think they did quite a good thing in explaining the whole kind of social media, the whole YouTube side of stuff, which is how he's redeemed his reputation, if you want to look at it like that. I didn't think they did very well not shying away from that, because I think a lot of the time, certainly if you're a mainstream media organization, it's always been the social media thing, the YouTube thing. It's never actually been taken seriously. It's almost like, if you're doing YouTube, why don't you get a proper job in television, kind of thing. Whereas it was very much this is YouTube and this is how he's done it, and they like show good obviously in there. They showed other kind of influencers within there. Paige was part of the kind of commentary.
And she
team
was in
on
the
Full
Wyndham.
Swing, I suppose.
I didn't know that her and Wyndham Clark went to school together.
Yeah, it's crazy, isn't it?
Which is
Yeah.
cool.
So golf, it's a small world.
Yeah,
isn't it?
yeah.
So I thought that was good, and I thought they explained Bryson's story really, really well. So more influences in 2025 for 26.
This year's season of it.
Yeah.
That they'll-
If they're doing another season,
Well,
I presume they will be.
yeah. Are you then putting your name forward to be in this season of it?
Yeah, but you know, you gotta do something. That's always the real tricky thing. You know, got to be able to have something to offer the producers of Full Swing other than my acerbic wit and charm.
You could streak at the Ryder Cup.
I could streak at the Ryder Cup, although that would be a terrifying experience for everyone. That is one thing that we saw behind the scenes about Keegan Bradley getting the captainman's ship.
Good.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Landed
And
it.
how he reacted to that. I mean, obviously spoke to Dan about it a little bit, but for me, it's a really weird pick anyway. I don't understand why he's been picked as Ryder Cup captain. He's a 38-year-old golfer who's playing fantastic.
Yeah.
It makes absolutely no sense. Anyway, so he's been picked as a Ryder Cup captain. He's a very passionate, very intense kind of guy.
Yeah.
And at the end of the President's Cup, they're tossing a pigskin around. That's an American football. And who's on the edit here? You know what? I'll paraphrase it. He says, when he's the captain at Bethpage in New York for this year's Ryder Cup, when Team Europe come over, they're going to give us a really good whooping. As in, Team USA are going to give Europe a really good whooping.
He says we're going to kick their butts.
Yeah, but there's a few expletives
Yeah.
kind of in there and an intensity in his eyes that will make you run away from him if encountered in a dark alley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He is scary.
He is scary.
He is a scary man, which was interesting. The President's Cup episode was kind of interesting as well. There was an attempt to kind of build up that drama. And again, that was one of the things I kind of forget, how the States literally tore them apart during the first kind of matches,
And then they
came
came
back. Yeah, that was actually quite nice, but. Yeah,
I think they were trying to build up as if the internationals were going to win it.
Yeah.
And then it just didn't. You know, there's lots of Minwoo Lee chat, lots of Tom Kim coverage.
Yeah.
They were then hoping that that the internationals were going to stuff the US, but then what got me most annoyed was that Keegan Bradley. Obviously, the President's Cup is a big event, but it's nothing in this to the scale, particularly from our end, of the Ryder Cup. But I thought it was very interesting that Keegan Bradley chose to frame them winning the President's Cup as like redemption for Rome.
As if we look at it and like the internationals are like our representatives for a little bit, and then
God, it was so strange.
yeah.
Yeah, it kind of. with the President's Cup, it brought back again about how they really shot themselves in the foot not having any kind of live players there. Agree or disagree with live, whatever, it doesn't really matter. That would have been a much stronger team with live players in there. And that's the only way that they're really going to be a challenger in the President's Cup. Because everyone knew that the US were going to win. It was like the episode on Tour Championship following to Heath.
Yeah.
It was kind of like, obviously we knew Scottie won anyway, but even through that episode, I remember Scottie was never going to lose that. Yeah. It was like an attempt to build up the drama, and it just didn't really kind of work.
Dan Rapaport has said on social media that tournament is broken.
It is, yeah. It's kind
awful.
of silly.
It's a terrible format. Well done. You played really, really well. Now have a head start against all the people you've beaten all year.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
It needs to. I think it needs to go back to how it used to be, but that's just me. Tiger.
Yes.
Tiger Woods.
Kieran Mulhall, talk us through it.
Well, no, I was just saying that, we think about from season 1 to 3, would you sort of say they've kind of all had a very similar feel, haven't they, really, in terms of, just in terms of the editing style and everything? It's just seemed very, very samey. And I think that going into the next season, if there is going to be a next season, I think that Tiger's got to be in it.
I mean, he has to be.
Yeah, he's got to be in it.
You can't. A little bit like completely different scales, but like not having Xander in it this year was weird.
Yeah.
Not having Tiger Woods, the biggest name in golf, who is still playing every now and again, not having him in there, it's strange. Like it's an omission which can't really be explained apart from the fact that Tiger's gone, I'm not arsed.
Yeah.
Like,
and that could
no
be
thanks.
But
the only hope to have Tiger in is obviously this year's been TGL.
Correct.
Which I think should give Netflix just this opportunity to get in behind the scenes like never before, because the players are going to be a little bit more relaxed.
Yeah.
They're not going to be in full-on tournament mode, and it might give them a chance to do a little bit more of the behind-the-scenes stuff, like explore those relationships a little bit more between the players.
I'd like more topless Kevin Kistner, please.
That's an interesting take.
Well, if they're getting behind the scenes of TGL and we're looking for characters,
whatever you're into. Well, I'm not here to judge. Like, Kev's got a beautiful dad bod. Like, you just embrace it.
Yeah, he was great.
Literally, apparently.
but it just needs that to just separate it just from just
that
to
would
give
be
it a bit more.
It would,
it
would definitely elevate.
And the one thing I'll say, probably just before we go, it's well worth watching the Justin Rose Open qualifying episode for Gary Woodland as well, because that explains how he went through having brain surgery on a tumor that was pressing against the center of the brain, which controls like fear and anxiety. He said he was just leaving the house, unable to think about like anything but dying.
Yeah, he was saying he couldn't be around his children because it like overstimulated his fear receptor,
which is just imagine that, how terrifying that must be and horrible that must be. So to see him go through that and to come back, and when he made the cut of the Open, I think they did that quite well as well.
Yeah, that was cool.
He made the cut of the Open, by the way. Spoilers. So, overall, I'd give it a 7.5 out of 10.
That's what I was going to say. That's what I was going to say.
Okay, you can't pick 7.
7.83.
Oh, okay. More towards 8.
All right, I'll go 8.
Oh, 8. Okay.
I'll go 8.
Yeah, I'll have an 8.5.
Oh, really?
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I thought it was good.
Yeah, I think potentially being maybe a little bit picky over some things.
Yeah.
But overall, I think 3 seasons in, I think it's been a welcome addition to golf entertainment, to golf media.
Definitely.
It could have been something which didn't work. It could have been something which was a little bit of a massage to some of the players that said they'd come along. But actually, I think they've been quite honest and open, and they've handled situations really well.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think overall...
Enjoyed it. Really enjoyed it. Well done. Whoever made it, good job.
Well done,
Chad. Well done, Chad.
Well done.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and,
good work.
his team.
Yeah. And then if you look for someone
didn't do it all.
if you look for someone in 2026 to, I don't know. To be honest, Chad, I'll do anything.
We need a UK voice. There's not many UK voices.
You know what?
Definitely.
You're absolutely right. If you want a voice which represents the UK golfing landscape in a way which probably no way represents the UK golfing landscape, give me a call.
I think you'd be good on there.
Yeah.
They need some dry humour in there.
Yeah. We'll need an episode on shrinking the game.
It's just your face is like, yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, I can see it. I can
think
see
you
it.
do a good job.
I don't mind on taking like the bad guy persona for a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because me being a
Snap all your clubs during open qualifying.
Just a big
bad boy that I
T-shirt.
am.
Subscribe to the YouTube channel. That's all we need.
Very good.
yeah, that's me.
Let's do Guess the Player, eh? Let's get out of here. Hello and welcome back to the 2025 edition of Guess the Player. The game where your knowledge of golf history is more important than your ability to actually hit the ball. How the game works. At the end of each episode, I describe the life and career of a famous golfer. And after each clue, these accomplished professionals write down who they think it is. However many hints it takes them to get home is how many shots they took on that hole. So, if you get a par 5 after just 4 clues, you would finish that hole in 1 under par. Here are the current standings. Let's rejoin the action as the players tee off. Right. You just saw the ident. You know how it works. However, you lot have been requesting for a couple of weeks now a list of everyone that we have already had. And I have the list.
Oh. Are you going to actually just...
This is going to take a while.
I'm just going to do surnames. It's going to be quick. I'm going to go fast. Ready?
Yeah.
Els, Faldo, Hogan, Jordan from the Open, Joel Damon, Bernard Langer, Thompson, Wiesberger, George Bryan, Jordan Spieth, Varner, DeChambeau, Flitcroft, Woods, Lyle, Fowler, Hovland, Noren, Oberg, Day, Mickelson, Westwood, Neiman, Stewart, Schauffele, Scheffler, Rahm, Korda, Horschel, Gooch, Sink, Calcavecchia, Matsuyama, McIlroy, Thomas, Morikawa, Johnson, Koepka, Cantlay, Garcia, Singh, Fleetwood, Hull, Homer, Kim, Tagala, Bobby Jones on the Aaron Tuning episode, and last week, Keegan Bradley.
Cool. So...
Did you get that?
Next time. Next time I'll stick them on here. Okay.
I was trying to write them down and keep up with it. I got two. Yeah.
Okay, we are playing a par 5 today.
Okay. I love you could hear when he decided to just go a little went Sink and Calcavecchia back-to-back weeks just to be a bit...
and Schauffele and Scheffler.
Yeah, that was a good one.
That's
There's a few
lazy weeks.
Spelling mistake.
They were some of the extra point for spelling it correctly weeks as well.
I like that one.
Okay, here we go. Shot number 1. This player broke 70 for the first time at age 11 and was a +3 handicap by 14. This player broke 70 for the first time at age 11 and was a +3 handicap by 14. And for all you people in the comments and on Discord who said you got a hole in one last week on Keegan Bradley, first of all, don't believe. Second of all, don't believe.
Keep saying it irritates him.
Yeah, it really annoys me. I'm going to make these even harder.
You can't go off what people of the internet are telling you.
Can. Just proof that I just read all the comments.
Yeah. You should have a look at the conspiracy theory about Milton Keynes.
Oh, it's so good.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you'd love that.
You would like that one.
Yeah.
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 Sounds like right
It's
up my
good.
street. Okay, here we go. Shot number 2. In 2003, the first time this player competed in all 4 majors in a single year, today's player went T39, T5, cut at the majors.
And that was 2003.
In 2003, the first time this player competed in all 4 majors in a single year, today's player went T39, T5, cut at the majors. I believe in 2003, weren't the Open and the PGA the other way around?
Yeah, it would have been Masters, US, Open, PGA.
Yeah.
2003, the first time he played in all 4 majors. The first time he played in majors or all 4, sorry.
I've read the question twice.
I wasn't listening.
In 2003, the first time this player competed in all 4 majors in a single year.
Okay. Oh, God. 2003. That's a long time ago now.
Yeah. Literally 22 years ago.
Jeez.
I was 12. Kieran was just born. How old you? What year were you born?
2003 would have been, 3/4.
Wow. That is wild. How old were you in 2003? 31?
Wow.
We didn't have birth certificates, so I don't know.
Just a stone tablet.
As soon as you could pick up a hammer, you were down the mine, so...
Oh my God.
The mines.
Every single bloody episode we talk about the Industrial Revolution. Lord of the Rings, mining. those things.
We didn't even have any mines in Preston. It was Mills. I need to change my tune.
You do. Shot number 3. This golfer competed in the 2016 Rio Olympics. Due to the prevalence of the Zika virus, the highest ranked golfer to attend the Olympics that year was Bubba Watson, who was world number 5. Our man was T4 after the first 2 rounds. This golfer competed in the 2016 Rio Olympics. Due to the prevalence of the Zika virus, the highest ranked golfer to attend the Olympics that year was Bubba Watson, who was world number 5. Our man was T4 after the first 2 rounds. You finished writing?
Yep.
Forever.
Forever.
For God's sake.
If I do 2 eagles in a row, that's pretty impressive. By the way, this is, I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't know this one, but
You haven't done that thing where you lean back and celebrate?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm still, it's kind of like a blind shot.
Right, okay.
It looked good, but I don't know why it got in. I think I heard something.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, the pin light.
Someone on the other tee box goes, wow. Ready?
Yeah.
Is Kieran panicking?
No.
Shot number 4, and this would be for birdie. This man was born in Johannesburg, South Africa. Now he's doing his dance. Now he's leaning back. Blacked out windows, leaning back. Why?
God, I'm good.
I might have beaten you, by the way.
Am I beating him?
Yeah.
We got an elbow.
Yeah. I haven't. I haven't
Don't show
changed
any
from that.
names,
Don't
please.
show me that. I wanna-
No. If there's conferring going on, both of you will DNF this
No,
hole.
I'm just saying I haven't showed him. I'm just showing I haven't written any more.
Yeah, not writing anything down after 2.
Waste, man.
Suck your teeth.
Yeah, I just did.
How angry are you right now? How angry are you that Kieran might have an albatross?
That's the level.
Good?
Yeah.
Shot number 5. This is your tapping for par. That's right. At the 2023 Ryder Cup in Rome, today's player went 1, 1, and 1 over the 3 days. He currently has 15.5 Ryder Cup points to his name, including 4 points at the 2014 Ryder Cup in Gleneagles, where he won all 4 of his first 3 matches before he and his partner halved their afternoon foursomes match against Spieth and Reed. He also halved his Sunday singles match with Hunter Mahan. At the 2023 Ryder Cup in Rome, today's player went 1-1-1 over 3 days. He currently has 15.5 Ryder Cup points to his name, including 4 points at the 2014 Ryder Cup in Gleneagles, where he won all of his first 3 matches before he and his partner halved their afternoon foursomes match against Spieth and Reed. He also halved his Sunday singles match with Hunter Mahan.
I think I had
all
it
the
written
one
down
clue.
and I've changed it.
Oh, really?
What, for 2?
Choosers.
Shoesers. Neil Shoesers.
Oh my God, is that who you got?
Yeah,
that's right.
If it is, if it is who I think it is, it was for 2.
Yeah.
Really?
Oh no!
Wow. Kieran's
I
really
don't know,
confident.
I don't know yet.
Kieran's so confident that he doesn't want to get confident because he's scared.
Yeah, he's worried about
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
He's
yeah.
worried about his own health. No! Yeah, if you haven't got it now, you're going to be over par for this hole. Here we go. This is your bogey putt. During the 1998 Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, today's player, aged just 17, chipped in from 50 yards on the 72nd hole to finish T4 and win the silver medal for low amateur.
Wow.
During the 1998 Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, today's player, aged just 17, chipped in from 50 yards on the 72nd hole to finish T4 and win the silver medal for low amateur.
Damn. I thought I got it with the eagle, but Kieran is super confident.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm going to say Kieran is 95% there right now.
I'm waiting.
Well, yeah, there's no time to change your answer because if you haven't got it now, you're going to be 2 over for the hole, but don't worry, that's the worst you can do. In 2013, he became the first Englishman to win a major tournament since Nick Faldo in 1996. Today's player is 2013 US Open champion, Justin Peter Rose, OBE.
Did you get it?
Wow, he's actually got it.
Yeah!
He's actually
Well
got it.
done.
Congratulations, Kieran.
Well done.
Great work.
Did you have it for a second?
We had the same 2.
Oh, there you go.
I'll be honest with you. I've learned something new today. I had no idea he was born in South Africa.
There we
Yeah,
go.
that's kind of why I was.
Wow, Kieran, unbelievable. Kieran basically has albatrosses or doubles.
Yep.
That is it.
No, because the Olympics one was the third clue, right?
Yeah.
See, that kind of threw me a bit because I had Justin Rose, and obviously I knew he won in 2016, but I thought he was leading, but it was Henrik Stenson, I think maybe, and I changed it to Stenson.
Yes.
And then obviously the South African thing, I was like, I don't have a clue what's going on right now.
When you said "ah man," was that like a clue for like "ah man" or like?
No,
No,
not
it's
really.
just,
It's a very deep think, but it wasn't conscious. So
That's 2 hits.
There's pressure
That's
on today.
2 hacks. Come on.
that was terrible.
Barely cleared the table.
It's all right. He albatrossed the previous hole.
that's true.
So,
He's always good shots.
they took up golf very young. Played in his first full set of majors in 2003. Won the Olympics, which was excellent. Was born in Johannesburg. Lots of Ryder Cup points in there, including a very good 2014. Chipped in to win low amateur at the Open in 1998, age of just 17, which is ludicrous, and was the first English major winner after Nick Faldo.
I don't remember anything at the 2014 other than Jamie Donaldson. That's all I remember.
Yeah. What a boy.
Yeah.
That was a good Ryder Cup to watch, actually, because it's a good Ryder Cup if you're European, because there was never any danger of us losing that.
Yeah.
And
This
you
one is-
had just enough tension to keep it interesting.
It's also my favourite European Ryder Cup captain,
Paul McGinley.
Paul McGinley.
Yeah, my favourite US team captain as well.
Yeah, the best.
He was a terrible captain. I'm not having it.
Tom Watson and Zach Johnson tied.
They're up there.
My favourite US team captains.
both as bad as each other. Both got smoked.
He didn't say why they're his favourite.
Yeah.
They're just my
Yeah,
favourites.
because they're good for us.
Okie dokie. Right. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Big thank you to Dan for coming on as well. If you've not checked out Full Swing, give it a watch. I think there's 7 episodes, all about an hour. You'll have a wonderful time. Maybe, is it bingeable?
No.
It's not, but I don't think
I
it's
wouldn't want to sit
bingeable.
there not for 7 episodes in a row. But that's not necessarily that it's a bad thing.
No.
Because you're going to sit in, you want to take it in, you want to look about. But like, who wants to sit there for 7 episodes in a row anyway?
Yeah.
I did 3 and
What's the
4.
matter with you?
He definitely did.
I would definitely watched all 7 in a row.
No, right.
But would you have done that outside of watching it for the podcast?
Yeah, because I'm a glutton.
I thought that was pretty hard go
Yeah,
to try and watch more at the same time.
I love it.
Especially like anyway, right. Well, guys, thanks for watching. I'm going to see you next time.
Bye, friends.
Bye.
See ya.
Goodbye.